Well, I'm guessing my $3.50 large fry from McDonald's is about to be $4.25.
No doubt.
How much you pay for Jersey Mike's that time, Dennis?
For a family of 5, you know, almost $60.
We can complain about it, but it doesn't hurt us. Can you imagine if you were making, $18 an hour right now and you're trying to eat, take care of a family, get gas. Now you go back to your employer and you're like, look, inflation's high, everything's costing more, foods cost more. Even before this, if you look at the gas charts, in the last year, how gas was going way up anyways. That was making it worse, and now this hits. Now you got to go back to your employer. It's like, I need more money. Otherwise, how do you survive? Now, Kane, like, what happens when you keep paying your employees more money? What do you do?
Raise prices.
Now you raise prices, which makes everything more expensive. So then the employees come back and say, hey, everything got more expensive. I need more money. So we get in this loop that you almost can't get out of right now. And then you throw in a worker shortage. Companies are already overpaying to get anybody to come to work. Tell me where the end of the rainbow is on this one.
And that's if, James, that's if you're lucky the employee comes to you asking for more money. Usually they just leave for more money elsewhere, and then you end up hiring the next person for even more money than you would have just paid your employee.
I mean, that's what you deal with on the recruiting side every day with all your clients. I just there's no pot of gold at the end of this rainbow right now, and Brent crude has pulled back. But have we forgot that interest rate hikes are coming around the corner too?
No one's really talking about that.
Yeah, it's funny. The war came along, and inflation and COVID evaporated from the news.
Yeah.
I was talking to a banker, and he's on the same wavelength that I am, where we're not thinking it's going to be 225 basis point raises this year. It's going to be 3 or 4 more raises. And some of those are going to be 50 basis points or more. Because that's the only way to try to get out of this mess. And then you got to think, that's going to crush the housing market. All the people with the credit card debt, which if you looked at those charts lately, they're looking not so healthy. Auto loans, which, cars are so damn expensive now as it is. Because you imagine if interest rates go up another 2.5%, we're going to be in a world of hurt. Throw the gas prices in, man. Curious to see where we go.
There's a couple angles that I'm wondering about, because you think about everyone that's working from home. And slowly but surely, I feel like companies are bringing their employees back into the office, not at the pace that I thought it would be, but I do see a lot of clients that we work with, especially bringing their employees somewhat back to a flex schedule. I wonder if this whole gas increase is going to affect that as well, because now, do companies have to figure out, do they only bring in their people 4 days a week just so they don't drive in as often? Do they go back to working from home again just to save on gas? This is all something that I think is going to affect a lot of our customers even more so.
And you can see this kind of slowing down to return to work. But it's not just gas prices, right? It's oils and everything from your soap, every piece of plastic, fertilizer. Food goes up, transportation goes up, airline tickets go up. It all goes up. And you remember back in when the prices were high last time, super high. All the extra fees the airlines were trying to throw on.
Yep.
They're like, oh, you're bringing an iPod? That's an extra $25. And you couldn't bring nothing extra on that plane without paying extra money.
Pretty soon the airlines are going to weigh us at the gate before we step on. Oh, You're above 200. That's going to be an extra $50.
I think they talked about doing that around 2010 or something. It's like hop on a scale like you're at the circus. I'm like, yep, dollar per pound extra. I'm like, God damn it! Here's $100. All right, let me on. I don't know. I'm thinking like because we remember this story before. We remember what happened when gas prices went up this high last time. The effects it had on the economy and the jobs and the travel and inflation. I think we started that was like the fracking boom that hit up in like North Dakota, and we kind of fracked our way out of a recession, if you remember. We created a bunch of high-paying jobs. We got gas prices down. The world got back to work. There's no end in sight, though, for this one. What is the solution? And how's that going to affect jobs? It's that I don't know.
Which do you, of all the factors that we've talked about, which do you think is the first one to solve for if you were in control of the entire economy?
What is the bucket of problems we're trying to solve?
But yeah, well, I guess it would be energy related, right? Because what surprised me in listening to you guys talk about the connectedness of it all is just how connected everything is, right? Like you can draw a line between gas prices to employment to remote like it's amazing. When we've been talking for weeks about just the dynamics around remote and getting people back to the office, and then real estate prices, etc. And then you just throw in another thing that I didn't imagine you could actually throw in and also have it link. It's very fascinating.
I mean, we lived it. Like I've been here before. I've not been here before with, a potential, global World War III and ridiculous inflation. Like, can't say I've been there before, but I've seen this. I've seen the energy crisis before. It's just one of those things that you're working on a poll of Daggerfin right now, that research paper, where we had another poll we did where 50% of people said they're gonna change their spending habits because of gas prices, and they're saying like $2,000 a year is going to come out of the average consumer's pocket right now. Now, if you make it $100,000 a year, it's irritating, but you'll live with it. If you're making $40,000 a year, that hurts, and that's going to affect hospitality. That's going to affect travel. That's going to affect retail, which is going to affect all those jobs when you think about it. And it's like, well, we can deal with this for like 30 days, but if we don't have a long-term plan here, this will be the thing that probably puts us in a recession. Compounded with the rate hikes. When people's credit card interest starts going up, you can't afford that new, you can't even afford the electric vehicle now. Imagine when you got to buy it, when the interest rate's at 7.5%. Housing market starts to crash, which that's a whole other issue, because we saw that again in 2008, where when the housing market starts to crash, America's favorite savings account, now people are selling their homes for losses. They can't take out the equity lines to get access to money. They're not selling their homes for profits. And I think they see that coming with the rate hikes. But I don't know if they saw this coming on top of it. So real estate jobs, retail jobs, yeah, it's not going to be great.
I had this conversation last night as well with some of our staff members, and the question was like, where is this going? And I really was scratching my head. I couldn't really answer them. I'm like, I don't know. There seems to be multiple bubbles and everywhere. I just don't know which is going to burst. It's a very strange time.
And it's the everything bubble. Ken and I talked about this before. But the only positive side is there's so much money out there that might keep us out of a complete collapse. When you look at the amount of money people have right now because of the stock market, stimulus plans, all the money that was like saved and made in the last 2 years, we're more stable than we were the last time we had a crash. I would say the top 20% is more stable. Now, the bottom 80% of wealth, that might be a different story. But the only saving, grace we might have here is there's still a lot of money floating around. But how fast can that evaporate? How fast did you watch $1 trillion get, sucked out of the crypto market?
Oh, an afternoon. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. The safety blanket is the 11 million. Also, there's a lot of money in the economy, yes, and also the 11 million open jobs, I think, is a bit of a safety blanket that I think policymakers can probably lean on a little bit, right?
Yeah, but that also evaporates really quick.
It would.
But you saw $1 trillion evaporate from the crypto market, and the line at the Starbucks was worse. So it's one of those things that there's a lot of money out there, but if the stock market drops down to like 22, how much wealth is got obliterated? And if the housing market drops by 20%, how much? You see how fast that extra money can just disappear. Right now, we're okay. And that might get us through the bad times. But I remember in 2008, you couldn't find a job anywhere. You couldn't get a job anywhere. You couldn't go to Chipotle Grill or the mall. There was no jobs. And, people, there's another article we might do here where we'll never have enough people to do jobs. But it wasn't that long ago when it was, 2008, 9, you couldn't find a job. So could that happen again? We'll talk about that on the next episode.
And I think another angle, it kind of triggered it when you're talking about the $2,000 out of people's pockets, is we look a lot about the near-term effects of all this, but because of compounding, this is going to affect people's quality of retirement if they can't sock away as much money. If the markets fall and have to rebuild again, like there's a long-term effect to all of this happening right now too, that I think maybe gets a little lost.
No one cares about the long term anymore, Kane.
Yeah.
Only thing I'm worried about going to Cabo.
Yeah.
That's the only thing on people's mind is their next trip, the next thing they're going to buy. They're not worried about what's going to happen, 2 to 5 years from now. It's they're going to buy an NFT and get rich.
Yeah, that's true. Well, if the Dow goes down to 22, do people start liquidating all of their crypto and going back into equities?
I mean, that's something we talked about before, and in my own opinion, we've already seen it happen in cryptos. It doesn't seem to happen to gold as much. There's a lot of people that are putting money in NFTs and cryptos, for example, that they're putting their rent money in there. It's casino time. And when you need that money to actually pay rent, you got to pull it out. And then when your stock portfolio starts crashing, you need money, and then you start pulling it out to everywhere.
Right.
And that's when you'll see these like meme stocks and these things that really probably weren't that great of investments to begin with. They'll crash. And sad part is the people that need the money will pull it out and it'll crash, and the people that have money will go buy it up cheap.
Right.
It's a constant transfer of wealth if you see it. I think it happened on a lot of the meme stocks. I think the way people are playing options, the savvy investors weren't doing options, for example, right? There's probably some billionaire out there that was buying options, playing that roller coaster ride up and down on the meme stocks, while the retail investor was, pumping it up and down. If the economy crashes, people will pull their money out of crypto so they can feed their families. And then the wealthy people are coming in and buying Bitcoin at 10,000 or something, and then the retail investors will come back and puff it back up to 60.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know why people don't understand that that's what happens.
Crazy times.
Yeah, crazy times. Yeah, anything else over there, Dennis?
No, I think I'm good.
Finally hit that $100 tank of gas over there.
Yeah, yesterday, popped my cherry there. First time I ever spent $100 on gas. It was exactly 100. Took a picture of it.
What annoys me is the certain gas stations will cut you off at $100.
and do the credit card transaction twice.
And then you gotta put the pump back. You gotta run your card again, and then put the pump back in, and you got to go through the whole process 2 times because it takes about $155 right now to fill my truck up.
Oh, jeez.
And it's like, it's just a time process to do all this. Because you know, all those credit card machines on the gas pumps are super quick, right?
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, and Brent crude's coming down. I just, long term, I don't know how we get gas prices down to something reasonable where it doesn't have a tremendous amount of effect on, retail and hospitality, travel. These are all things we got to worry about, especially if you're working in those occupations. Hell, it might be time to go back to that Amazon job.
Yeah. Well, all the delivery services are going to get affected too, because those jobs might not be as attractive.
Damn it, my Amazon Prime's going to go up to $2.99, ain't it?
Yep.
Anyways, that's all I got for this one.